I'm gonna pay $4,600. I don't know how to feel. I have good news. I'm like, I really want to leave and I'm excited to leave, but I'm also just sad. I'm really stressed out right now because I found out today basically that, so let me back it up. I don't know if this is like this everywhere in like cities, and it's just the difference between getting a lease in college towns versus like getting a lease for an actual apartment. But the way my apartment does it, when your lease is supposed to end, you still have to give them a 60-day notice that you are going to vacate at the end of your lease. And there's this like one-line statement in your lease, although it says lease end date XYZ date, there's a statement in your lease that says if you do not give 60 days notice, then your lease will continue on a month-to-month basis. I think I knew this because there was a point in my lease when I was still in my job where I considered asking my job to let me move back to Florida and just work from Florida, and we were considering canceling our lease and leaving because I was just so stressed. This was before I got off birth control, which was really messing with my hormones, and I was emotionally just like a wreck all the time. So I really was into like drastic things. I was like, let's just do this and that and blah blah blah, and making crazy decisions all the time that I wouldn't end up actually doing, such as like moving to Florida and breaking a lease and having to pay like $4,000 to do that. So I knew of this like period of time you had to let them know ahead of time. So about like 3 months ago, maybe, it was like between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I had called my office, my leasing office, and was just like, hey, I just wanted to check and see what the move out procedure is. I remember hearing something about I have to like let you guys know ahead of time for when I'm moving out. And the woman on the phone, she said that it was a 30-day notice. And so then I just let it go because I'm like, okay, I have till late January. I can go home for Christmas and go to Florida, come back, we have some time, and then in the month of January I'll reach out and get the form. So that's what I did. I reached out at the end of January and said, hey, I want to provide my 30-day notice, and I got no response. So I waited a few days, forwarded the message again, no response. So I emailed one more time, and then I called and I was like, hey, I haven't heard back from anyone. I sent in my written notice that we're vacating at the end of our lease. And the woman said, different woman this time, she said, it's a 60-day notice. And I said, wait, what? She said, yes, your lease says 60 days. And I said, I couldn't find the part in my lease, so I called and they told me 30 days. And I said, well, what happens if I don't provide 30-day notice? And she said, well, you're gonna have to pay the lease break fee. I'm gonna pay $4,600 because I didn't let you guys know. Like, that's more than my rent. That's 2 months of rent before the concessions and discounts we have. Basically, she said she would talk to the leasing manager, and I was really nice because I'm like, I understand this isn't this woman's fault, but I'm just like, I can't afford that. Oh my gosh, I need to get out of this apartment. Like, let me out of here. So I'm still waiting to hear back. That was earlier today. We've been through a lot here and I'm ready to get out. And I really just hope that she'll work with me and just let us leave in peace at the end of our lease, even though there was this miscommunication, because I can't live here another month. Like, I really can't. Good morning, guys. It is Tuesday and I just talked to the leasing office again, so I wanted to update what's going on. Basically, I talked to them and the best that they could do, or what they offered me basically, is that we can move out on March 15th with no penalty instead of March 3rd, which is when our lease ends. So instead of paying 3 days of rent, we're obviously gonna have to pay 15 days of rent for March, so pretty much half the month, which would be like a little bit less than $1,000. I mean, it's not great because I was planning on only having to pay like $300. Now we're gonna pay more like 900 something. But it does give us a bit more time from Oliver's last day of work. If we have to be out by March 15th, that means we can take the moving a little bit slower. But that does mean it costs more money. Like, the slower we move, the more it costs in a sense. Part of me is like, dang, this sucks. Now we're losing more money. And then the other part of me is like, hey, this is nice. We have like more space to breathe. It's not as stressful. I don't know how to feel. So I'm probably going to let this process for a little bit and then rethink our moving plan, because we will have more time. We even have the potential to go down to Florida and actually look for a place to move directly into. But like I've said in previous videos, I don't think that would be the best choice for us financially. I'm still just unsure about everything, but I'm just gonna move on. This move out thing has been just so confusing. So I just called leasing because I was trying to figure out, like, they told me we could leave the 15th, like I was telling you guys. I didn't know if that meant like we have to move out on the 15th. Like, I don't know where the 15th came from, but I just asked her, and for some reason she thought like I wanted to move out on the 15th, and I don't know why. Like, I can't process. I literally have no idea why she thought the 15th. Like, we added the days. It's not like it was like 30 days from the day I notified her or anything like that. I just said the end of our lease. But for some reason, she thought our lease ended March 15th. I don't know. So I just called and was like, hey, our lease ends March 3rd. She's like, oh, well, if you want to leave March 3rd, like, I'll talk to the leasing manager about you leaving March 3rd. And I was like, oh, okay. So I guess she's going to let me know. We might actually be able to move out March 3rd. I have good news. Wow, I have my ring light on. You guys like that? Good news is I heard back from the leasing office and they actually had the dates wrong in their system. They thought that my lease ended on March 15th, which is why they told me I'm allowed to move out March 15th. So we have since confirmed that March 3rd will be our move out date. So we actually aren't having to deal with all of that stuff I complained about for 50 years, so that's good. Now what that means is we are really on crunch time. We're moving on the 3rd, so we don't have to pay more rent, which is good, but we just have to make sure we stay on task and get everything done. Hey guys, it's Sunday and tomorrow will be 1 week until we move. We just got back in town from visiting my family down in Southwest Virginia, so I'm doing a cat sitting job right now. Future Paige coming in here to say, please bear with me on these next few clips. I was extremely emotional and said like about 10 million times, so I'm very sorry in advance. I just wanted to check in because I am feeling really sad about moving. I think it's because like this is like the last time we're gonna be like coming back into town and like it's like our home, you know what I mean? Literally a week from tomorrow we're driving down to Florida for the first time and then like we'll be back up the next day and we're gonna like pack up all our stuff and go. So I don't know. I'm like, I really want to leave and I'm excited to leave. But I'm also just sad because it's like closing this chapter of this time in my life that was supposed to be so cool and it just like didn't work out for me, you know? And I know that there's so much more to come for me and I have so much more in the future. We could move literally wherever we want and we could even move back here, although I know like this isn't really the place for us. We obviously can always come back. It's not like it has to be over forever, but like it just feels like it's like finally letting go of this time in my life that just wasn't what I expected, you know? So yeah, it kind of feels weird and I want to be just like happy and excited to leave, but the reality is that I'm gonna be sad. This is also like where me and my husband first lived together. Like we got married up here and like he proposed to me up here. Like again, we can visit whenever we want. I'm just gonna be sad. I mean, I was really sad when I left Gainesville from college. Like, I'm just gonna be sad. That's just the reality. Especially because it's not like we have anything we're really going to right now. It's easy to look at this like a failure, you know? Like, I tried to make this work and it didn't work, so we're leaving. And, like, I know it's not a failure. Because, like, I chose this, you know? But it kind of feels like it, you know? Like, we don't have something to really look forward to right now. But there is a lot of good things going on. I'm just emotional, you know? I'm just gonna be emotional. And I shouldn't be hard on myself about it. But yeah, I just wanted to just kind of talk about how I'm feeling and what's going through my head right now. Because right now it just is not really fun thoughts, but that's just like the reality, you know? Like, oh no, don't Gus. Here's my kitties. Hi, Alma. Hi. And Gus. It's not gonna be like a fun, exciting, happy move, you know? At least not completely. Of course, like I said, like, it is because I want to go and I'm super pumped to leave, but DC does have like a special place in my heart and it's gonna always have like special memories, and just this like idealized version of what it was gonna be like will always be in my head, even though it just wasn't what I expected, you know? And it just kind of sucks like coming back into town and like seeing DC again at night. It like felt like that first time I like drove up here with Oliver and was like, this is where I'm gonna be living, and like once we get married, like you're gonna live up here too. And it was just so exciting, like seeing all the lights in the city, and it you know, especially after coming from visiting my family in Virginia, because they live like very much in like the middle of nowhere. Their town is really small, so it's not like there's big lights in big city, you know? So it really had that like dramatic feeling again of like that first time we came here, and it just reminded me of all the feelings I had when I first moved here, and like how excited I felt, how I expected it to be, and like what I expected my life to look like. And I think that's honestly like a big thing about living in cities is like we always see the highlight reels of other people who live in cities. And, you know, some people love living in cities, don't get me wrong, but like there's a lot of things about living in a city that like doesn't work for everyone. And a lot of it really just doesn't work for me and doesn't work for Oliver either. So it just really doesn't make sense for us to be here anymore. But it still just sucks because it like feels like this fairy tale that you thought your life was going to be, and then it just like wasn't. And obviously a lot of that is COVID as well. I mean, I've literally only lived here during COVID, so I know that's a huge part of it, because I've had like so many people tell me that, especially people like that I cat sit for, when I tell them like, oh yeah, I'm moving, and then they're like, oh, like didn't you move here like just 2 years ago, like when COVID started? And I'm like, yep. And they're like, oh, so you've only lived here like during COVID? And I'm like, yep. And they're like, oh, that's so sad, like you just missed so much of like what DC's like. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It sucks, but you know, I mean, maybe in a few years we can try out living somewhere different as well. Like we have so many options. Like we still have no idea where Oliver's even going to go to med school, so we're going to be potentially moving again in like another year and a half, so it's totally fine. It just is crazy how like attached you can feel to a place even though you feel super detached like being here. I need to remind myself that like New York was always the city I loved. I mean, for good reason. Like, no offense to DC, but like New York is like beautiful. DC is like really pretty as well. It is, but like the city feeling is like not the same here at all. The monuments are honestly like the big part that you see when you drive in. It's like a lot of low density buildings with like lights, of course, but then you see like the big lit up tall monuments in the Capitol building, and like that's really what you notice, you know. But I don't know, I really liked visiting DC. Living here, not as much. At the end of the day, I think I'm much more of like a visit the city type of gal versus live in the city type of gal. It's weird to know that I lived in a place that like I always would think is so cool, but then I like didn't actually think it was cool when I was here. I don't know. I feel like I'm repeating the same things over and over again, but that's just how my brain is going right now. It's like looping 20 million times, and I just need to like I gotta let it go and feel the feelings as they come, and then let them go, because they're just feelings and they're gonna come and go in the next week and a half. It's just the reality of it. So it's gonna be okay. I just feel like this is, now I'm gonna cry again. I just feel like this is gonna be like a really hard few weeks now, but then it's gonna be really happy after. So I'm very optimistic though about Florida, and I'm excited to just feel more at peace. I feel very anxious and like stressed all the time here, which is like a huge factor of why I want to leave as well. So again, just why like I don't think the city is the right place for me to live. Visiting is one thing, but yeah. Anyways, I have these cute kitties here who can give me some nice support, but they're hungry and want to be fed more. So I'm gonna go finish feeding them, but I will touch base with you guys tomorrow. We picked up some boxes finally for free off Facebook Marketplace, which was really nice, ironically from people who moved up here from Florida. So it kind of just like felt like this like sign of peace, you know? God was just being like, here you go. You've been looking for boxes for like a week and a half, and here's some from someone who just moved up here from Florida. They're like literally 65, 70, and they're moving up here for their first time, or I don't know, maybe they're younger, maybe they're 55. I can't tell ages, but they were older, you know? That's twice the age of what I am right now. So the fact that I have so much more life to live and so many more places I could move to in the future, like I literally moved here 2 years ago. There's just so much more to my life, you know? There's so much more time, so I don't want to get so hung up on the fact that like we're leaving here, because we could go somewhere else really soon, you know, and then it'll be the next place I'm sad about. It's just weird because I remember being so sad about leaving Gainesville, and like I was really, really sad about that, but I was also really excited to move up here because I moved straight here from Gainesville, so I think that helped. But I was so sad about that, and then I remember thinking like, oh, I'll get over it, but like honestly I never did. Like I feel like I still love and miss Gainesville so much, and it's just weird to think like there I really didn't have any complaints, but like here I have so many. So I'm trying to like tell myself that there is places that I'm gonna like better, and like I'm not gonna feel like this forever about leaving here, you know? All right, I'm gonna go now. I got the boxes though. That was a nice sign. We're gonna hopefully bring them up from the car tonight, and then tomorrow we're going to start packing, so I'll update you guys, but that's just how I'm feeling tonight. Could change by tomorrow, you never know.